give it a few more minutes?
It was just going to be Jim and me and I guess you, right? Rich can't join us.
Right, and possibly Bonnie.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. Kim, did you hear back from Bonnie?
She accepted the invite, but
I know things are, things change. I know she had sent an email regarding something else recently, so I don't know.
Brady's on.
Okay, great.
I think we can get going.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Sorry it took a minute.
No problem. Hey, I appreciate everybody joining. I hope people have had an opportunity to take a look through the submissions by Legal Aid Society of San Bernardino and their progress. Christine, did you take a look at this and take a shot at compiling any of your staff's observations?
Yeah, let's, so I think we have to do, because it's normal. Am I sharing my screen?
Yes.
It's the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Because we're a normal committee, we'll have to do the official things. But let's start just as a reminder, we are recording and open to the public. It doesn't look like we have anybody from the public on the call right now. Because it's so small, I'll just mention, you don't need to use the chat, and I actually we don't need to use the chat feature unless
Christine, you're kind of fading in and out, at least to me. Maybe can you get closer to the microphone?
Yeah, let me turn it up too. All right. So yeah, just a reminder that we're recording and not to chat, to communicate with each other. Just, we all know to be aware of our surroundings, and when we're not speaking, mute our microphones so we can hear each other. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, good. Okay. Do you want me to go ahead and call roll?
Yeah.
Obviously see everybody, but let me just pull this up.
I'm here.
All right, Eric, present. Jim Meeker.
Here.
Richard Reines. Not here. Bonnie Ho. Not here. Dewan. Not here. Christine here, and Brady. Sure.
Sorry, here.
All right, great. And Eric, you want to call for any members of the public, though I don't see anybody.
Are there any members of the public on? And if so, are there any public comments?
Oh, I do.
Hearing none, I think we can move on.
Okay, great.
Christine, there's a Claire Salat on.
Oh, and can you announce, Claire, who you are and who you represent?
Claire Salat. I'm here as a member of the public, but I have no comment to give.
Okay. Are you representing an organization or just on your own?
I'm with the Legal Service Funder Network.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Let's move forward. Just an overview for our meeting. I'm just going to go over the compliance requirements and conditions, and then we can discuss the status report and auditor's report and potential motion and next steps. Okay. So as Eric mentioned, hopefully everyone had a chance to read the auditor's report as well as LASSB's second status report to us. And I just wanted to really briefly go over the auditor's report, because they thankfully laid it out very nicely for us, of what was required and what they had found based on their investigation. That might be kind of a stronger word, but based on what they were looking for, they had indicated that 8 of the 21 requirements were complete and that a substantial amount of work had been done for the remaining 13. So what they identified as complete was the Board of Directors training provided by State Bar with LAC, and then the search for the new executive director. As everybody should know, and I shared the new ED's resume with everybody a few weeks ago, if not a month ago actually, and he just started on September 1st. In addition to creating a compliance, legal oversight, and audit committee, separate committees, and the board of directors is meeting frequently, about every month, and they have been inviting us. And to speak to that, we have a new invitation actually for a board meeting next month, and I can share that with next week, and I can share that with everybody if anyone's interested. And then they completed 3 policies that were approved by the board for whistleblower, nepotism, and verifying and recording pro bono work, as well as developing and implementing written cash handling procedures. And then so for the in progress, we had a number of them, and as you could tell from the report, they were in various places with finalizing these requirements. So the board of directors training in nonprofit governance, they had indicated and actually mentioned at not the past most recent board meeting, but the meeting beforehand, that they had retained John Epp and had set up a schedule with him for these trainings. And then creating a finance committee, and they had also indicated that John Epp would help with this financial strategic plan. They already have the committee, but the piece that they seem to be working on is the financial strategic plan. And then expanding the board of directors, that's something that they have talked about at the last 2 board meetings that I've attended. They indicated that they're having an accountant join. He did not join last week, the last board meeting, although I think they had expected him to. So that might be something just to follow up and make sure that that's still happening. And they had indicated that they're looking beyond that person, but that was the person that they were closest to having joined the board. And then there were a number of other policies that they still need final approval from the board on, though it seems as though they have been drafted. And then to develop and approve an employee handbook, which it seems, again, as though that's been drafted and they're working with an attorney who had some recommendations. And then establishing a bookkeeping system, and to search for and hire a new accountant. At the board meeting that Eric and I attended, they had indicated that based on the resumes that they received for the executive director, they thought they might be able to hire some additional positions from there. I'm not sure if the accountant was one of them. I think it might have been, as well as an HR person, but they had indicated that they're still actively looking for somebody and recruiting a new accountant. And then develop and implement policies for tracking and recording all work and expenditures that are non-qualifying for purposes of using state bar grant funds. I had worked with the interim ED on identifying what qualifies as non-qualifying during the application period for the 2021 IOLTA EAF. And I think this is an ongoing process, and hopefully their new ED will also be able to strengthen how they track and record qualifying and non-qualifying, because he has come from not only a state bar funded organization, but also an LSC funded organization. And as indicated in the status report, they are looking to upgrade their grants management system to legal server system. I think that I would say in general, a lot of grantees use, all of the LSC funded grantees use it. Their new ED seems to have a good understanding of the system and its capabilities. And just, I guess in general, because I'm not super familiar with KEMPS, but it seems like their previous system, and they weren't at the most recent version of it, was very limiting and not really giving them the capacity that they needed to track and review and report and pull reports for everything. So it seems like that's going to be a good step in the right direction. And then also take steps to reduce the silo effect. And finally, investigate each area of possible fraud and or loss. And then I just wanted to note that ED and Payne identified 5 areas for additional recommendations. They hit some of the areas that we're interested in, but it's further recommendations for them to strengthen their internal controls. So with that brief overview, so to your question, Eric, the staff recommendation is to approve the status report and also approve 4th quarter funding, just based on, I think the auditor's report gives us a lot of information, and they did their due diligence in reaching out to board members as well as the interim ED and checking all the board meeting minutes and verifying where they are at in the process, and also making recommendations, and also recognizing that based on going to some of the board meetings that LASSB is making a lot of progress in a very difficult situation. When we did the conditional agreement, we weren't anticipating a huge pandemic. And for the remaining staff and the interim director and the board, it seems like they've made a lot of progress. And now that they have an executive director on board, we feel confident that they can finish the compliance requirements. So that's our staff recommendation, but we want to hear what you guys think. I put 2 questions out here, if we feel like they've made sufficient progress, if you're in agreement with us, and also if we want to make a request for additional information.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Christine. Does that conclude your report for now?
Yes.
Does anybody have any comments? And I had a couple of thoughts, but
yeah, this is Jim. I've got a comment, especially for you, Eric, since we corresponded a couple of emails about this executive director. And if I remember correctly, back in February, they thought they had a new executive director in their back pocket, but it wasn't this Pablo guy, was it?
right.
It's
I don't
somebody
remember
different.
who it was. That's right. But remember, we encouraged them to broaden their search.
That's correct. Well, I know you had some questions about his vita, but are you happy with his performance at the
Yeah,
meeting?
I mean, I just was curious about where he got his law degree, and it looks like he got it at a local San Bernardino school. I don't even know if it's accredited, actually.
Well, it's got to be California accredited, otherwise he wouldn't be in the bar, right?
But wouldn't be able to have. Is that right? I don't know. Probably. I'm not even sure. But anyway, that's yeah. I mean, not really. I don't have any significant questions. I was particularly also impressed that Dwan had met him and seemed to be pretty impressed with him. He does seem to have a strong compliance background, and that was a major weak link in their organization. So that, I think, is important. And he actually was hitting the ground running well before September 1st, which I think is another good sign. I mean, to me, it's pretty clear we should make the fourth quarter payment. I think they're making good progress here, and particularly, as Christine noted, in light of the pandemic, you could even say they're making really great progress in that respect. I mean, I guess the questions I have, I don't know whether anybody else noticed this, but particularly in the area of fiscal controls and grant reporting, fiscal kinds of cash handling procedures, that kind of procedures and controls that deal with kind of handling money and monitoring records and grants and things. The accountant's report was, they were sort of like in progress kinds of things. I mean, I was actually maybe hoping, and perhaps this was unrealistic, but I was actually hoping to see something from the accountants to say, we've looked at their new procedures, we've walked through them, we're satisfied that they're adequate, something along those lines. I didn't really see that. I saw more like, for example, fiscal controls. The note, the status report note is in progress. E&P noted recommendations to strengthen fiscal controls. Under verifying and recording pro bono work, the status report is completed, but what I wonder is, I mean, is this, are the new procedures for verifying pro bono work, which was one of the major weaknesses or actually areas of fraud that we identified, is this new procedure now sufficient so that the CPAs at the end of the year would be able to rely with comfort on the pro bono hours that they report? I don't know, that they didn't really say that. So I'm not saying we should hold up funding for that, but I guess to me that's an area where maybe would merit further review and reporting.
I mean, the one thing we have is flexibility, and whether we want to, request another report, or we could set a phone call with the new ED to just sort of go over our remaining areas of concern. And I mean, hopefully he understands this. I think the cash handling was a big one, not so much in our investigation, but in the initial monitoring report. But then the pro bono verification, and I think that's, as Deborah explained it to us back in January, that was one area where it seemed like they immediately implemented, taking the picture as the person arrived, and obviously that's not how nobody's arriving anywhere right now so much, but making sure that he understands that, and then the need to accurately, with their old bookkeeping system, they were basically just filling in the money, billing work where there was money rather than billing work according to the work that was actually done. So, underscoring how important it is that for our work, for our grants, they only bill, the income eligible work and the work for which they're not charging any sliding fee. So I get that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, so I was just, especially since he's new, I mean, that I could see some value in just making sure that he understands, that the key problems that got them here, and that this whole process is meant to avoid in the future.
Yeah, I for one wouldn't mind following up with the ED on those questions. I've got two more. One is, have they had any pro bono hours to check to see how well their new system records it? And two, does anybody know the status of the LSC investigation?
Yeah, good question. Both good questions. I mean, with your first question, yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping to see, Jim, that maybe the accountants would actually have walked through whatever hours they've recorded and just confirm that the procedure seems to be adequate. And I don't really see that here. I mean, maybe that's what they meant by saying that the item of verifying and recording pro bono work was completed, but that's not exactly what they said. So that, may be an area of follow-up. Is it unrealistic to ask at some point by year end or by some reasonable time that the accountants actually certify in some sense that the procedures for fiscal controls, for verifying and recording pro bono work, for grant reporting are adequate? Have them say that. They've reviewed them, they've monitored them, and the procedures are adequate or sufficient or whatever the right words are.
I've never worked with an accountant in that context, so I don't know what they'd be willing to
Yeah,
do.
I'm also not sure, but I think that they're probably going to stick with this accountant for the next year. And I think their year end is December 31st. So they would be doing another audit with them.
Do they have to file another status report, or is this their last one?
This is the last one.
Yeah, so that was part of the reason I put up that question, because we can ask for more information, and their new ED did reach out to me just to introduce himself and to have any conversation. So I think he would be very open to having a conversation with this committee about any of the lingering questions that we might have, and probably I think they would be responsive to any additional requests for a status report, because as we noted, their 13 is still kind of a lot pending. It wasn't entirely clear that they have all of these things completed by October 1st, even though we've noted they've made a lot of progress. I think they said that they anticipated to have these things approved by October 1st.
Well, is our thought that would we want to make the approval of fourth quarter funding conditioned on the conversation with the ED, or do we want to go ahead and approve the fourth quarter funding and then on a parallel track ask for a conversation with the ED to confirm the nature of their progress on the remaining items and maybe even to ask some follow-up on the items that are supposedly completed?
I mean, because we could do either. We could, given we have this month, we could even have another noticed meeting and defer the question until then, and either and basically schedule a meeting that he could join us for. I'm just trying to think of Bagley. So right now we're subject to Bagley Keene, and because we've been delegated this work. If we make our decision, then we've done our delegated work, and we could have conversations with him offline. As long as the decision is pending, I think that if you all are meeting together, it needs to be in a noticed meeting. So I guess what I'm suggesting that the cleanest and perhaps the option that would give us the most leeway is to not decide now, and in the next 2 or 3 weeks have another noticed meeting like this, at which the executive director attends and asks our questions, and then we could approve after that. Barring anything unexpected.
Is there anything barring us from asking the ED also how the Legal Services Corporation investigation is going?
So, yeah, I mean, no. My understanding is that it's actually the executive director who is under investigation, Fina Valdez, and that there's not, she as an individual was under investigation.
Not the organization then?
That's my understanding. We can confirm that. But yes.
Well, I
Because
don't have.
the organization itself, remember, was not was the subcontractor actually. So they it was I always forget the name, Inland
Yeah, inland counties.
Ayala or Inland Empire, is it the umbrella organization?
I think it's
Inland Counties or Inland Empire Legal Aid.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
inland counties legal services.
ICL, yes. So they were the grantee of LSC, who made the decision back in fall 2019 to terminate the relationship under which LASSB was a subgrantee. And my understanding from talking to the investigators at LSC was they're investigating the statements made by Josefina Valdez as an individual, and the organization itself wasn't under any investigation because she was the one who signed the paperwork and made the misrepresentations about pro bono hours.
Well, maybe what we could do is do what Brady is suggesting there. I kind of like that. I think if we approve the funding, it does remove any kind of leverage. Not that we need leverage particularly, but But I would suggest that Christine, if you're going to communicate with them, if this is the result of the track we go down, I would suggest that you communicate with them that we are strongly inclined. We're impressed with their report. We appreciate everything they've done. And our inclination is probably to approve the funding, but we did just have a few questions that we thought it would be prudent to discuss with the ED before we made a final decision.
And I think, what you said about leverage is true, but also that the whole point of this is that, they've recently been approved for funding for next year. And we just want to continue our positive relationship and avoid these problems in the future and help them do that.
Yeah, and I would also give the ED a heads up on these two areas that we want to ask questions on. That is the monitoring the pro bono and the fiscal control issue.
Yep.
So you can come prepared.
Yep.
Yeah, and specifically that the accountant's report is, at least on its face, is somewhat conditional. I mean, it more or less says progress is being made, but it doesn't really give us the kind of assurance that there are, in fact, sufficient and robust procedures in place that would give an accountant, for example, confidence that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing in these areas. So I guess I would so move that would be the direction that do we need a motion for that?
I don't think so. I mean, now, do you want one, Christina, or do you understand basically what to ask?
Yeah, I don't. If we don't need one, I can move forward on this.
And so we just need a date in the more than 10 days from now, before the end of the month. That's, I guess, before the end of the month is not a hard deadline, but we want to get their checkout in early fourth quarter, right?
Yeah, without delays, I think we want it by the end of the month.
So we're talking about on or after, probably like the week of the 21st.
Yeah.
So should we look at our calendar? I mean, like the 21st, for example, for me, that Monday is pretty good in the afternoon, anytime. Tuesday in the afternoon is good. Wednesday, I've got a lot of flexibility.
Should we all just email to you our availability the week of the 21st?
That That would be fine with me if you want to
To
just.
Christine?
And then I guess if anybody has, fresh in their mind, specific questions that we want to include on this list, I mean, maybe Christine's got the gist of it already, but it wouldn't hurt to shoot Christine an email, just to memorialize whatever we're thinking about now, so we don't forget it.
Yeah, that sounds good. And I can send the email to you guys as well before I send it out to make sure it's accurately reflecting everything that we want to ask.
Okay.
Great.
Well, do we actually want to send? I mean, I was just thinking of memorializing questions for our own benefit. I mean, I think the guidance that that Jim has suggested that you give him, that we want a little more specificity in the area of fiscal controls and reporting of pro bono hours and grant management. And we may ask a few other questions as well. I wouldn't necessarily tie ourselves down to a list of questions. Now, if they come back and say, well, we'd like to include one or more of our board members in the interview, which I'm guessing they will. That guy, Michael Scafati, seems to be quite active and wants to be involved. I mean, we can't stop them. Well, I guess we can, but I don't know that I would want to. Would you? Is there any reason that we need to just have the ED?
Also,
I think the invitation should be to the ED, but I think I anticipate that they're going to add one or two board members.
That's fine.
okay. Yeah, I mean, everything kind of happened before he started.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to join the board meeting in light of this. I think I'm going to wait till we have the conversation.
Yep.
I don't need to hear all the details of all the things they're doing.
Jim, do you have any interest in joining the board meeting?
No, I'll wait also.
Okay. In that case, I probably won't join the board meeting unless either of you feel like it would be beneficial. But if we're already going to have a conversation with the ED.
Yeah, you might want to tell the ED that we're not joining the board meeting because we anticipate raising our questions in our meeting with him.
Okay.
I don't want them to think we're slacking off. Okay. Well, Christine, thank you for preparing for this. We really appreciate it. Jim, thanks for your participation too, and Brady.
Great. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Talk to you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Bye.